Hello, everybody. I am Will.
And I'm Kristen.
And this is So I'm Watching Stranger Things, Season 4, Episode 2.
Vecna's Curse.
I'm going to go ahead and start in California because it's good. It's all good.
No, it's amazing. I love it.
I'm loving this.
The thing is that...
And I'm loving the longer run times. I was a little nervous.
No, it's worth it. Because it doesn't feel like they're filling for time. Like, it doesn't feel like they're just, like, stuffing it.
It's allowing all of the characters to get enough material. Well, no, we're not going to start in California. We're going to start with the Russians, because both of our eyes glaze over every time the Russians are on screen. Look, Hopper's alive. The Russians are holding him prisoner. Jack and Hagar is, like, trying to broker a deal with Joyce, maybe.
Dimitri. Yeah, it just, like, the Cold War, blah, 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 communism, blah, blah, blah. I just couldn't.
But they don't know who he is. And they want to know who he's working for or with. They were talking about a woman, and he was like,
it was Joyce.
Oh, could they see her?
They had a photo of her from when she was in the room, and Hopper was down there, and she was turning the keys. Yeah, but they infiltrated because they were both wearing Russian uniforms. But that's the thing. I'm just sort of like, let's get to the point where Joyce is in Alaska with some magical $40,000 she has all of a sudden.
Is she?
She said, I'm going to the bank to get the money.
You know what? The encyclopedia business is booming.
It doesn't seem like it is. She keeps hanging up on prospective customers.
Who seem interested.
Yeah, Carol seemed hella interested, and she hung right up on her.
But no, I want to get to the Scooby-Doo shit, which it appears we are well on our way. Yeah. But so in California, Mike shows up. Him and Elle are going about their little day. Yep. Very cute. She's been lying to him. So my guess is she's more so trying to...
I think she's trying to make it so he doesn't worry.
I think she's a little bit trying to impress him. I think she's a little insecure about the fact that she is in her situation.
Especially because in the letter she was writing him in episode 1, she talked about how good she was at math. And in this episode, she got an F on a math test. So I'm like, so you're not good at math. I also just like... If Joyce has $40,000 lying around, you're telling me we can't get Elle a Sylvan tutor?
So I don't think it's lying around. I think she's coming up with it. They're slightly different implications. She's just going to go hawk one of the lesser Picassos.
If only they hadn't smashed that Russian doll to smithereens, it might have been worth something.
So they went to the skating rink. You know, I get it, and it is good. They're portraying Angela. They're portraying it well. They're portraying the 9th grade angst of it all. They're definitely portraying the 80s-ness of it all. Yeah. I feel like we're getting, well, probably not, because it seems like we might be navigating away from it somewhat, although I think Elle is going to be in big trouble.
Well, I don't know. Joyce is on her way to Alaska.
But the Angela stuff, holy shit.
That bitch deserved worse than a skate to the face.
Oh, no, she did. I co-signed it a little bit for you because you were like, she didn't even get in trouble. And I was like, a near identical situation happened to me in middle school.
Well, no, it was that Elle didn't snitch.
Oh, yes, correct.
Because they keep calling her a snitch, and now they've got the entire...
You got to run and tell teacher, and it's like she was actively lying on your behalf.
In front of everybody. And so now everybody at the skating rink is calling her a snitch.
So that was the thing that, again, I allowed it to happen because of the tone of it all. But literally none of it is funny. And if anything, it's actively embarrassing on Angela and her 3 friends. They are laughing like it is the funniest thing in the world. And I'm like, it's not, there's nothing.
It's very big, I don't know, Kelsey, how's your mom's pill addiction energy? And I hate it. They're awful. They are like the literal worst. They throw a milkshake on her. They knock her down on the skating rink.
They got those fucking DJs, which I mean, I can believe that like a skating rink DJ in California in 1986 was absolute like hot wet turd, but it just like cold wet turd.
Horrible.
Like just smeared. It was just
I can't. It's awful. And
because everyone in the rink, I mean, presumably there was like a 12-year-old's birthday party happening to the side.
I saw adults.
And they were like, ha, ha! It was heightened.
There were grown-ups.
People were running in from outside. Yeah. Like Jessica Simpson was there.
And, that's her best song. They were also laughing after making fun of her dad being dead. Diabolical! She deserves to have lost a tooth.
And that boy was like, like, I was like, it's not that.
I'm so punchy and you keep making faces.
That's going to be the cover image thumbnail of this. No, it was so bad. And so Elle took a roller skate. Because I was trying to think of what I thought she deserved. And I was like, they all deserve to be laid out on the roller skate rink like this. And just like a train across their fingers.
That's so specific.
It's what she deserves.
I agree. I don't disagree. But I love what Elle did because she picked up the skate and then she like while she's walking, she like looked at it and then positioned it differently in her hand for maximum damage. Wheels first into
right
the face.
To the moneymaker. And you know what? She's going to get in trouble, but it's all worth it because Angela's nose is busted.
Well, and I'm sure she's going to have a big scar on her forehead. And she fucking deserves it. Ugly on the inside, ugly on the outside.
Well, I'm sure in the next episode we're going to find out her dad's mean to her or something, but it's like...
No, I don't know. I don't want any redemption for Angela.
No, because I was about to be like, there were 4 places that could have stopped.
Yeah.
Like it was egregious.
Because she also, Elle went up to her and she saw them, she was hiding and she saw them and she was like, I want you to say you're sorry. And like, and all that. And like the I want you to tell Mike that you were friends was stupid. But like, I just
No, that was actually kind of awesome though. Yeah. Not in the moment, but it's like, that's so funny.
Yeah.
I started to laugh because I remember there's a similar episode of Family Guy where Peter is like defending Meg from Connie D'Amico.
Oh, okay.
And he ends up like bashing her head in with a fire extinguisher. And I was like,
hey,
this to that.
So the thing I liked so much about it, it's like that thing that you said where it's like, there's a huge power in looking someone in the eye and saying, you hurt my feelings, you know? And like, it didn't work obviously, but like it absolutely made Elle the bigger person where she just was like, I want you to say you're sorry. Like, you did a bad thing, say you're sorry.
Like, of course there are people that are that shitty in the world, but a lot of bullies, you can impress them or like work with them or
also,
something.
When Elle gets her powers back, it's over for you hoes. She would have exploded your heads already.
Okay, that's already so much time.
Sorry.
Oh, Will, I don't know. I don't know.
We're in a loop. Is he in love with Mike? Or does he just miss his friend, Mike?
Yes.
Both?
One of
Okay, because I had never, up until this episode, I had never received the impression that he was in love with Mike. It was just sort of like a longing for a time gone past that he missed because he was in the Upside Down.
Will seems like a
Wells for Boys.
Yeah. And I am pretty committed to that headcanon. I'm not going to make a scene about it. Like, I'm not going to, quit the show if they give him a girlfriend or whatnot. But
no, but he was like, that girl tried to play footsie in class and he was like, ugh.
Yeah, I think much like Robin and Vicky, he also speaks Lebanese.
Sure.
And I just...
Whatever the gay boy equivalent of Phoebe Cates' boobs is.
So I couldn't think fast enough. I was like, what did I have? And I was like, I watched that scene in Porky's a few times. But...
He and Mike have kind of a confrontation where he's like, what about like our friendship? Like, I don't feel like we're friends anymore.
If that is where they're going, I do like it and I am impressed. And
if it's just about their friendship?
No, it's gay.
Well, Will's definitely gay. I never got the impression he was gay for Mike.
Well, if he's definitely gay, then he's gay for Mike.
Okay.
They're either doing it or not.
Okay.
But if that is in fact the case, poor Mike.
Yeah.
He is in over his head. He is not equipped for either of those two things.
No.
He can handle 2/3 of one of them.
Yeah. Well, I would argue he's not even equipped for Elle, really.
That's what I mean.
Okay, yeah. He's like, he can't do it.
Nancy and Fred were sleuthing.
Yeah.
It worked. It made sense. I love the allusions. I love the allusions to other things.
Yeah.
They're not
It's not ripping off.
No, they're not. I guess homage works too, but it's like it's not recreations or it's not something else that we loved was the Fear Street trilogy last summer. That recreated a few scenes, and I do like that. But it was like Nancy talking to Eddie's dad, the way Eddie's uncle, the way he was talking was giving me like those Pet Cemetery, like the Friday the 13th or Freddy Krueger, I guess.
Yeah, no, I'm getting a lot of Nightmare on Elm Street because what appears to be happening is that this Vecna, whatever the monster is this time, which I love that they are all connected to D&D monsters, but this Vecna monster.
Can you play like Mall Madness?
Yeah, right? Like pick a less creepy game.
I guess then we're dealing with Angela in that scenario, so no, go stay with it.
Regardless, it appears to be playing on these people's deepest fears somehow.
It's a boogeyman.
Exactly, but then it's also real.
The scene with Fred and the cop was so fucking scary.
So scary.
So it seems that Fred, I guess R.I.P. I didn't like him in a way that I like Chrissy.
Like,
well, in this episode, the beginning of this episode, I was like, this guy has got to go. And then by the end, I was like, oh
poor Fred.
Sorry. But he had a scar, and I guess he caused or was in an accident.
Yeah.
Car
and
accident.
Then like didn't actively help someone get out, and so he has
he just is internalizing because some of this stuff feels like it could be their own worst fears.
Of course,
it feels like that episode of X-Files. He ran off into the woods, and
Nancy said, "Stay here," and he heard that stupid fucking clock ticking.
Are people gonna listen to Nancy?
They ought to.
No, that's what I mean. Yeah. I was like, why would anyone listen to Nancy? She only
knows all
has
the
her
shit.
head on. They did do yet another subtle homage to Barb. We were not the Barb super fans, but we were Barb sympathizers.
I was a little bit justice for Barb.
We were justice, but some people made it like a way of life for a full summer. It was weird. And I think the show has really handled it.
Well, I like that they keep bringing her up, even though,
well, because Nancy, it's kind of like, oh.
Yep.
And the clock seems to be a motif, because this time it was on a coffin.
The coffin of the dead boy from the
clock
car
and the
accident.
spiders.
Yeah. No more Spideys.
There's going to be so many more Spideys.
No more Spideys.
So Dustin and Max seems to, because she is in the trailer park where Eddie lived.
Yeah.
And so she elicited Max's help. And then they very smartly, Dustin's help. And then they very smartly went to the video store because they had 3 phone lines.
Dustin and Steve are hetero life mates. I don't know what we're...
But they're both a little bit like butthurt about each other's growing lives.
Yep.
But this was used to be, in order to use the internet, not only could you not just walk around on your phone.
Way too early for the internet.
They were on the internet.
No, they needed 3 phone lines so they could all be calling people at the same time. There's no internet in 1986.
I thought, then what were Dustin and his girlfriend doing?
That's just like entering into a database.
Okay.
I mean, maybe. I don't think that's...
I thought it was because they needed a dial-up. Or
no, it's just because then
you're right,
Dustin, Max, and Robin were all 3 on the phone.
I think you're right. Although, if I were right, then that would be a smart plot point.
If the timing worked out, you would be correct.
So Dustin, Max, and Steve and Robin are all game and on this quest.
They're also sleuthing. They're trying to find...
They're giving me the Scooby-Doo.
I love it. And we also have like a creepy Victorian house in play now at the very end of this episode. So fingers crossed.
We love Riverdale. We've been begging the CW for Scooby-Doo. We think it would be so much fun.
But yeah, so they are also sleuthing, and they are trying to find Eddie, who I have already done a 180. I'm here for Eddie. I like him now.
I did with the him and Chrissy scene.
No, I mean that was better. But
that's one of the reasons why I'm like the most like their interactions were so interesting that I was like, oh.
I needed that like wacky shit knocked out of him, and now I think he's great.
He was performing.
I didn't like it.
Like, yeah, precisely.
That was my problem. So they find him at a place, some guy named Reefer Rick's place, which they find because Robin is like shockingly brilliant. Because she's the one that figured out the Russian stuff in season 3 as well. And so she basically was like, well, we have this database of like all the people who are members at like Family Video or whatever it's called. And so she ended up finding all of the Ricks, and then they went through their rental history in order to be like, which one do we think is like this one? And it was the guy that rented all the Cheech and Chong movies.
So I thought it might have been the guy that rented Blue Lagoon and Splash.
Yeah.
Because boobies.
Also, the first one was Dumbo and then something else, and they were like, definitely not. And I was like, I don't know, Dumbo's got some psychedelic moments. It could easily be
It
Dumbo.
was a kid. It was like an animated, but so then we had it took me so long to wrap my mind around this plot, but I got there. We had Lucas with the other cool kids. They've apparently sort of taken over
Benny's burger place,
the diner from the first season, and they just it threw me because it went full frat house in a way that I was like, but I guess again the 80s, maybe that was that kind of culture was a bit more.
It was in the first episode only because Benny gets murdered in the first episode. It's the guy from This Is Us, and it
is I won't give up.
So anyway, it's also. They've taken it over and they're using it as like a party spot or whatever. When the chief and the deputy finally get there,
the worst too.
Well, they used to both be deputies, and I think the one that's the chief is better, but the one that's still a deputy is so useless. So anyhow, they're like talking to Jason. And Jason's like, what, are you going to bust me for drinking beer? People have been using this place for years. I bet you did too. And I was like, Benny was operating this as a burger place up until 2 years ago. Where do you think people have been using this as like a late night hideaway?
I guess in the time since then, you were real hung up on that. And I was like, I think that's fine.
It's been only 2 years. How would the sheriff have been doing whatever?
1 year is a year. 2 years is years.
No, not enough years for the sheriff to have been doing it in high school. Also, he made it sound like this was using Benny's as like a high school crash pad was like a decades long tradition in Hawkins.
Well, they were trying to build a railroad, so they disassembled it brick by brick, and they moved it to another location where they reassembled it brick by brick.
I hate you so much.
Check out our Riverdale coverage Sunday nights. That was a Riverdale deep cut.
Okay, bye.
No, because
no, I know we're not done.
Jason, they were awful to him. He was okay. He's the Gaston. It's Kill the Beast. I get that. No, I do. But I'm not defending him. I was like, but there's a logic to his like high school jock avenge my girlfriend. Like it's a point A, point B. That
he's giving Angela energy.
I don't think. That is ridiculous.
They also, as soon as Dustin...
He's bad. I'm saying, I know.
But also, as soon as Dustin was like, D&D is like, not, it's like, whatever. And they were like...
yeah, we forgot to mention they're hitting the satanic panic, which is a thing.
How do you know anything about this? And he tried to blame it on his sister. And everything about Jason, I hate. I hate every inch of body language, all the words he's saying. Also, again, with to bring up the satanic panic... It's just like in the first episode where I was like, fucking Angela's the one that remembered that stupid squirrel's name, not Elle, you know? And then in this one, he was like, all this satanic stuff and like the people, they just get crazy and they go too far. And then he burns an effigy of Eddie Munson. And I was like, you're the one doing this thing, though.
Yeah, so all the jocks are like
out. It's happening all across the country.
They're like out to kill the beast, aka Eddie, and Lucas is having second thoughts about where his...
loyalties lie.
Yeah.
Listen to a really great podcast called You're Wrong About. They do an episode about the satanic panic and how it was all fake. Just as an FYI.
So was that it? Jonathan and Argyle had an actually very funny.
It was pretty funny
conversation.
Yeah.
And I'm interested. Basically, Jonathan's pretty much decided he's just going to go to college with Argyle,
like community college,
which is the right choice. I know people don't want to hear.
Yeah. Well, he also
insert the Teen Wolf monologue. You're gonna have other loves.
No, you're definitely gonna have other loves. I also sort of feel like, does he know for sure he didn't get into that school? Because it seems like he's just resigned himself to not going.
He doesn't want to. He was like, I'm not going to chase someone else's dream.
Okay, fair enough.
And
that's fine.
With very, very, very few exceptions, your first love is not your only love. It is very frequently born out of convenience
Which
when you put people in a room together.
Absolutely. 100% absolutely.
So
apparently Jamie Campbell Bower has been in both of these episodes as somebody named Peter Ballard.
It's credit only.
Not on this one.
Oh, the first episode said credit only.
Yeah.
So, he's one of the Russians.
Oh, that checks out.
So, I guess. I'm not sure. Don't quote me. So, on that note, I think that's good.
I think that's pretty much it. Yep.
Fuck
Great.
Angela.
Really, oh God. Right. Just, I wish that she had also kicked her in the uterus.
She deserves.
A punch in the uterus. I said what I said.
All right. Hopefully you're having fun, and hopefully you join us back. And please like and subscribe. Definitely like. The likes do the most, and we're trying to do the most. And also, our dislike button is broken. So if you dislike it, you have to like it in order to dislike it.
Also, you can leave a negative comment, but only if you like the video. Thank you.
We need to start doing that at the beginning. Yeah.
Bye.